What's something you can't believe you had to explain to another adult? That Jurassic Park wasn't a real place. I wish I was joking. This reminded me of the time some animatronic dinosaur exhibit was traveling around and was going to be at the zoo in our hometown. This was mid-90s, I think. Someone had gone to see it and wrote a letter to the editor of the small town paper to let everyone know it was a scam. They're not actual dinosaurs. They're robotic. My uncle, reading the letter, went on a rant about how shady it all was, and how the advertisement sure makes it seem like they're bringing real dinosaurs. He went on for ages, never once stopping to consider what he was saying. Back when I was active duty Air Force, I had to explain to a woman I worked with why she should not mail fireworks to her husband. See, he was going to miss Independence Day because he was deployed in Iraq. Well, yeah, they've already got plenty of rockets over there. That getting paid every 2 weeks doesn't mean you pay more in taxes than getting paid every week. That someone can't give you AIDS by touching a door handle, and to not call the cops on this person because they have AIDS and touched a door handle. That the engines on the plane we were flying in could not be turned off during the flight just because she thought they were too loud. Well, I mean, you could. You can do anything at least once. Seeing eye dogs are not also blind. Coworker of mine laughed when a customer told me he was English and said that's the language we speak. He means he's American. I had a friend when I was a kid. She was American, living here in Canada for a year. She absolutely refused to believe that the language she spoke was English. She insisted she spoke American. After about an hour of arguing about it, I finally just told her that I speak Canadian then, and I can't understand her, and left. I used to work at hospital. One of the most frequent things I had to tell people was why it was a bad idea to smoke near their relatives or friends who had oxygen tanks. Hey, I know people on oxygen who need to be explained this over and over. So dumb. These are the same people who need oxygen, but don't take it with them when they drive, because they're scared the cops will see it and assume they're too old to be driving, because, of course, they are. Vitamin C and calcium are different. That if you get married in Vegas it's legally binding everywhere. My husband and I eloped in Vegas, then had a public wedding later. I had to explain to a friend that we didn't need to go through the process of getting another marriage license in our home state because we were already legally married. She was still skeptical, even after googling it. That Portugal isn't next to Brazil and Spain isn't just south of the border. I have friends who thought China was in Japan, and that Japanese and Korean are the same thing. Once met a girl who thought there was a sun for every state. Just remember, every time you look up at the moon, I, too, will be looking at a moon, not the same moon. Obviously, that's impossible. Back when COVID was first starting, I was talking with a patient at our office who asked if it was safe to eat at Chinese restaurants because of coronavirus. I explained politely, while internally facepalming, that it is totally fine. To which the woman replied, "Thank God, I'm totally craving sushi." Then I had to explain the origin of sushi, the most quintessentially and widely known Japanese dish in American culture. My boss once asked me what you're supposed to do with trash if you don't have a garbage disposal in your sink. Confused, I said, "You mean, like put it in a trash can?" He said, "Is that what it is?" Never seen someone that disconnected from reality. Was he putting all of his trash down the disposal? That your 2-year-old needs an appointment for checkups. It's not a walk-in situation. They had been deciding when they wanted to go and just showing up, then complaining because they weren't seen in a reasonable amount of time. She was 24. This is parents not explaining stuff to their kids. Will Smith made $6 million on rap music in high school, but his mother never told him about income tax. The IRS took all of the money he had, everything he owned, and handed him $1 million tax bill. That there, in fact, wasn't a World War III. That thunder is not the result of clouds running into each other. I had to explain to my 32-year-old sister that dogs have a normal vision and not vision based on movement like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park. That you cannot take your home's Wi-Fi with you to a different location. They were bringing their laptop to the parents' house to log into the SSID from the parents' WLAN. Once connected, they would bring that internet connection to their apartment, which had no ISP, no VPN, no hotspot, no pocket router. They believed they were magically connected only to be disappointed to not have internet access when they got back to their apartment. That you shouldn't try and get your toast out of the toaster with a conductive metal fork if your toast is stuck. And that when the fuses trip, you just got a visual indication of how close you came to death by electric shock. And that after explaining it once already, resetting the fuse box and watching the lights turn off 2 minutes later, I know you've done it again. Unplug the toaster before you jam metallic objects in it, you moron. Hey, I just wanted a bagel during my bath and it got stuck, okay? Used to work in HR. Had to sit staff down in a mental health facility and explain to them they cannot flash their breasts around with the patients. I wish I was joking. I hated my HR career. Everyone's a dumb F. That Ireland is a real country and not just a made up place for leprechauns and 4-leaf clovers. My wife's friend was visiting last winter and tagged along for a quick ski trip to our local mountain, and the PNW was one of those perfect winter wonderland days with great snow cover and a light snow. While we were riding the lift up, the friend turns to me and asks how did they get the snow to look so perfect on the trees. She's 33 and she wasn't joking. Alcohol has calories. I had to be the one to tell my friend when she was in her mid-20s that the vodka she loved had calories. She was so shocked and said, "What? I thought since it was clear like water it didn't have any calories." When I told my 39-year-old daughter that alcohol is empty calories, having zero nutrition, she said, "Yes, empty calories, so they don't add any weight." That the library is a public space, so yes, murderers and people with arrest records are allowed inside the building. We do not follow them around to make sure that these people are behaving. No, our library does not have an after-school program. Yes, that means all 85 kids you are looking at are unattended. No, the kids are free to leave at any time. No, you do not have to sign them out. No, we cannot force your child to do their homework every day after school. No, I will not personally buy your child a snack every day when I am on my lunch break. No, our library does not have food we can just hand out to your child. No, I will not take your child home with me after school. I will not take your child home with me even if you give me money. Yes, I like children. I like them best when I don't have to parent them. I worked in a factory once and a coworker told me his parents would stop the car when they were younger to grab red dirt so that they could eat it. He explained that the dirt was what God had made people from and that your body craves the nutrients in red dirt. I had to tell him that he was eating clay and in fact it was not digestible. He didn't believe me. The Pope is Christian. My friend said the Pope wasn't Christian but Catholic. Took a genuinely long time to get across to her that Protestants and Catholics are both Christian. If getting a vasectomy is the same as what the vet did to his male cat, he was an engineer and I was the health insurance rep. I assured him that unlike his cat, he would still have his testicles. That there's no such thing as the good mercury your body needs from eating fish. That the US has never been at war with India and that Iran, Iraq and Afghanistan have nothing to do with India. He was in the military, which is the terrifying part. That it is not okay to eat a piece of the birthday cake before the surprise party. I had to tell my husband today not to use a knife on the new non-stick pan I just purchased. There is no such thing as a legal requirement to register your hands, feet, any body part as a lethal weapon in the US, even if you are king of the badasses or your Navy buddy carried a really shiny card indicating otherwise. Explaining to my 14-year sister that I don't do drugs when she threw a full glass spice holder from my spice rack at me, nearly in tears. She asked how I could not only keep a jar of marijuana in my kitchen, but also label it, and I couldn't even spell it right, she cried. The spice was marjoram. We still tell the story of her devastation 8 years later. I used to manage a bookstore and I once had to tell a customer that we didn't have any historical reference books about dragons because dragons weren't real. It's amazing how many people think chicken is not meat. That the plural of shelf is not shelves. That Sasquatch is not a type of fruit. That a bidet is not your sex drive. That a blank CD is not a CD writer. This was all the same guy. The moon is not a second Sunday. Eggs are not dairy. That you had to add dishwashing detergent to the dishwasher to actually wash the dishes. He thought detergent was to disinfect them. I guess that's one stroke too, right? This is a 40-year-old man who is a practicing lawyer. Essential oils are not miracle medicines that the doctors are hiding from the public. That the price listed is not the price you pay. If I give you $20, you can't afford something that's $19.99. You shouldn't hold it against non-Americans though. In most countries, the price listed is precisely the price you pay, the tax is included in the price, and restaurant workers pay as well. I had to explain to an old coworker that there are white people in Africa. She didn't believe me. That fear is not the same thing as respect, and trying to make somebody scared of you isn't going to make them like you or want to be around you. He was 48, myself 22, and his employee. That a tornado is wind. This is in the context that I, as an insurance adjuster, had to explain to a client that tornado damage is in fact wind damage and isn't some sort of other creature that has nothing to do with wind. That if you put something back in a different place than where you got it, you can't expect the other person to know where to find it later. Refrigerators already exist. She thought she was a genius for coming up with the idea of putting food into a cold space to reduce bacteria growth.